They come from every walk of life, from every state in the Union. Some are just beginning their work of healing. Others have devoted years of skillful, compassionate care to sick and wounded alike. There is a common bond which draws these men and women together. Whether in Europe or Southeast Asia, Hawaii or Africa, there is the great work of helping the helpless and abiding pride in being members of the Corps. From the great centers of military medicine here at home, to the Army medical installations overseas, from any area in the world, wherever the need may arise, comes their story. The story of the United States Army nurse. Or perhaps it will be the hospital at one of the world's most famous medical centers, the Army's Walter Reed General Hospital in Washington, D.C. These are students at the Walter Reed Army Institute of Nursing, which is a baccalaureate program with the University of Maryland. All of these students' educational expenses, plus a monthly salary, are financed by the Army.
Freedom of adulthood. It looks very attractive, and yet he's afraid of it. And there are many advantages, then, of being a child, because he might fail. The parent, on the other hand, he sees that his adolescent is looking very adult and would like him to behave like the adult that he appears to be.
Their instructors are Army nurses, all highly qualified full-time faculty members of the University of Maryland.
So every activity, then, of daily life.
Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Texas, is the home of the Army Medical Field Service School. For each new Army nurse, this is the starting point of service to the nation and to mankind. Newly commissioned nurses undergo 5 weeks of basic training to orient them to military customs and traditions and to prepare them for their role as part of the worldwide U.S. Army Medical Department team.
Welcome to the United States Army Medical Field Service School. For the next few weeks while you are here at Fort Sam Houston, Texas, you will be learning about the Army and its organization, and about the Army Medical Department and your role as members of the Army Medical Team. As newly commissioned officers in the Army Nurse Corps, you should realize that you are now members of the oldest corps of uniformed women in the military service. While you are here, you will be learning about the uniform, how to wear the uniform, and how to act the military courtesies and customs.
We'll see how they have lettered from left to right, using all letters with the exception of India and Oscar.
It is important for Army nurses to understand the mission and organization of the Army Medical Department, as well as having a knowledge of map reading, supply channels, and the methods and concepts of modern warfare.
Across this way until we exhaust it, and then come into our uniform series with Bravo, Charlie, Delta, on around. The entire world is subdivided this way into...
There is much to learn about field equipment and how nurses adapt their knowledge of nursing to the care of patients in the Army's mobile field hospitals.
That you've been involved with here at Camp Bullis. Now, I hope we can bring out some very constructive questions and have a interesting question and answer period. May I have some questions, please?
Are all the operating rooms in separate suites the way they are out here?
They're usually separated with the sheeting material that you saw. But depending upon the supply or depending upon the physical setup of this given unit, they may or may not be. So we must be very, very flexible in our setup. May we now have another question? Yes.
Are all the patients in the operating room moved in and out as fast as they were this morning?
Depending upon the extent of injury and the length of time needed for the operative procedure. Now then, simulating the exercise this morning,
For all members of the medical team, a thorough knowledge of the chain of evacuation to remove the wounded from combat areas is most important.
a cup of this, Cheryl?
Certainly.
Let me have that coffee over here.
Aside from the formal orientation course here at the Army's Medical Field Service School, new Army officers form new friendships and begin to develop a feeling of belonging. All share the experience of being part of one of the most comprehensive nursing services in the world.
Oh, by the way, we wanted to ask you a question.
At the same time, these new Army officers learn that a modern-day Army post is a complete community within itself. The Post Exchange, a general merchandise facility, makes shopping interesting and convenient. Wherever they may be stationed, Army personnel can see first-run feature films at Post motion picture theaters, and at the same time enjoy the companionship of others. Recreational facilities provide the nurses with active pastimes during their off-duty hours. Many enjoy the excitement of bowling. Where outdoor recreation is concerned, post facilities often include large swimming pools, where a refreshing plunge can be enjoyed by all. Golf courses on large Army posts afford fine facilities comparable to civilian courses. Up-to-date libraries provide all kinds of reading matter and research material. Every man and woman in service has the opportunity to worship regardless of religious persuasion. Social life in the Army is both exciting and colorful. The officers of the Army Nurse Corps are very much a part of that life. At the officers' clubs and at parties in private homes, the Army nurse forms new friendships, often lasting through a lifetime.
Wow, that's not too far from your home, down in Florida, Panama City.
That's right. It's 190 miles away.
That'll be real fun. You'll be able to get home, see the old folks some.
You better believe. I surely will.
Gee, you would say.
In this ever-changing atmosphere of good times and joyous human relationships, the Army nurse finds relaxation and respite from her daily service to mankind.
We certainly hope so. In fact, we plan to live in the nurses' quarters, which is adjacent to the hospital. It's just beautiful, just out of this world.
Well, how long do you think you're going to be at Benny?
About 6 months.
6 months?
Mm-hmm.
What you thinking about then? Europe, maybe?
Europe, right.
Wow.
5 weeks of orientation program goes swiftly by for the new Army Nurse Corps officers. Then it's goodbye to Fort Sam Houston and on to the first duty assignment as a member of the Army Medical Department team. As they leave, they will be headed for all parts of the globe on their first assignment. Though the majority are first assigned to a hospital within the U.S., others come directly into the Army with the guarantee of a specific assignment. Sometimes this guarantee includes a stateside hospital, but such assignments are also available in Europe, Alaska, Hawaii, Korea, and other parts of the world. Letterman General Hospital in San Francisco, California, is an example of the type of hospitals within the Army's modern hospital system, a system which stretches around the world. Perhaps the first assignment will be to join the staff at Fitzsimmons General Hospital, high above sea level in picturesque Denver, Colorado. If overseas, it may be a tour of duty at the Shape Hospital in Casteau, Belgium. Or perhaps it will be the hospital at one of the world's most famous medical centers, the Army's Walter Reed General Hospital in Washington, D.C. In addition to thousands of servicemen and their families, this great hospital serves many distinguished leaders of our nation. When life and death are only a heartbeat apart, the men and women of the Army surgical teams are at their magnificent best. So it begins, the great work. From major medical centers to smaller post hospitals, the Army nurses perform their daily duties in many ways and many places.
Now just relax and let the machine help you breathe. That's a good girl. That's a very good sweetie. Yeah. That's good, sweet. Hmm? You're still clean.
Mrs. Rogers? Good morning. We're going to be turning you over on your back here.
Which you'll be doing every 2 hours, continuously around the clock. Now, we're going to have you very secure in the frame, and it'll take 2 people to turn you. There's no chance of you falling out. Are you ready to go in orbit with us?
Blast off.
All right. Now, that wasn't too bad, was it?
No, ma'am.
At least we didn't lose you. Now, you'll be turned every 2 hours. The purpose of this is really for your circulation, because you're not going to be up walking around until we get you out of here, which we hope is soon. Now, you can move your hands, you can turn your head from side to side, you can talk, you can eat, anything you want to do, either on your stomach or on your back. Just let us know and we'll help you.
Thank you, that's refreshing.
I understand we're going to do a cholangiogram on this patient.
Yes, that's what the 212 says. We have a 1080X table out there.
Do you know if X-ray has been notified?
Sergeant Lee said he will come over, take the X-rays himself personally today. If you're ready, Colonel Losnick, we can have Sergeant Douglas bring the patient in for us.
Yes, the patient may be brought in any time.
The most important thing to remember about this whole procedure, Sergeant, is that when you're wrapping, you remember to use the figure 8 rather than a circular motion, and you leave the knee open so that he has movement there. How does it feel, Jim?
It feels good.
Good. Do you have any questions, Sergeant?
Do you normally use the 6-inch bandage?
It depends on what we're wrapping, if we're wrapping an arm or a leg, but for a leg, yes, a 6-inch. Well, Jim, now I think it's time that you throw away that wheelchair and start using the crutches.
Boy, I can't wait.
Now, Mrs. Santiago, it's important that you relax, just like I gave you instructions a little bit ago. Understand?
I think so. I'll try.
I'll help you. Is there a contraction starting?
Yes, there is one.
Okay, now, just breathe easy. Open your mouth. Breathe slowly. Slowly. That's the girl. It's going away now, isn't it?
Yes.
Is it completely gone?
No, not completely.
Oh, it'll be gone in a minute. It's gone now, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. I'll check the baby to see how the baby is. The baby's fine. Did you want a boy or girl?
A boy.
Well, Dr. Venturi asked me to come over and see how the muscle exercises were doing.
Well, they seem to be doing wonders.
Well, which ones did he give you to do?
The main exercise was to move a bright-colored rattle in front of his eyes and see if he would follow it.
Okay, let's see how he does. Kevin, look up there. Kevin, you're not going to look at me, are you? Hey, look, Kevin. Well, he seems to be doing a lot better.
I'm looking for my daughter, Mrs. Ethel Simmons.
She's in that room over there.
How much do you weigh, sir?
165 pounds.
The Army is proud to have these men and women serve within their ranks. And the tireless efforts of these nurses do not go unrewarded. In return, the Army provides every opportunity possible for each nurse to grow and develop professionally. The education process, which merely began for the newly commissioned officer at Fort Sam Houston, is a continuous one.
On a recipe that we'll give you later in the lecture. Now, we have a problem with the iodine tablet, and that is, after exposure to heat, to moisture, and to light, it will decompose and change in its form partially to iodide, as you see with this second tablet. Now, this second one, the whiter color, is only about 50% of the strength of the metallic gray tablet. Now, with this, we will have to double our recipe, then, for the individual disinfection of the water canteen. Now, the next tablet, the rust-colored tablet...
As Army nurses gain experience, they often select a specialty area in which they wish to work professionally. The Army not only provides an opportunity for nurses to work in their chosen specialty, but conducts courses in such specialties as operating room, anesthesia, maternal and child health, medical surgical nursing, and psychiatric nursing. There are also apprenticeship programs for those who are interested in Army health nursing. In addition to this, each year nurses are selected to attend civilian colleges and universities on a full-time basis to complete bachelor's, master's, and doctoral programs. These programs lead to advanced degrees in many clinical specialties. One example is the U.S. Army Baylor University program in Health Care Administration given at the Medical Field Service School, Brooke Army Medical Center, Fort Sam Houston, Texas. After successfully completing academic requirements and a year of residency training, nurses selected to attend this course receive a master's degree in hospital administration from Baylor University in Waco, Texas. Almost 1/3 of all Army nurses are on duty in overseas medical installations. This hospital in Munich, Germany, is one of the finest American military hospitals in Europe. A simulated mass casualty exercise in Nuremberg, Germany, is typical of the field exercises which keep men and women of the Army medical team alert and ready. Handling a sudden influx of serious burn cases in an emergency situation demands the utmost in care and efficiency, not only from the doctors and the nurses, but from all members of the medical team. In every sense, the Army's medical team serves on a worldwide scale. Army Nurse Corps officers are to be found in this military dispensary in Heidelberg, Germany. There are similar installations in other countries throughout the world where American military personnel are stationed. Across the world in sunny Hawaii, other Army nurses serve at Tripler General Hospital, one of the finest military medical centers outside the continental United States. Army nurses fulfill a variety of assignments in Korea, Okinawa, Thailand, and Japan. Though some of the hospitals in these areas may be smaller, they still have the latest medical equipment and provide the same high standards of nursing care found in Army hospitals stateside. The role played by the women of the U.S. Army Nurse Corps in helping to organize and train the nurses of Korea is unforgettable. It is due in large part to these American military nurses that the Army of the Republic of Korea has created its own highly effective Army Nurse Corps. Patient care and nursing procedures followed by the Korean Army Nurse Corps today are not unlike the methods of the U.S. Army Nurse Corps. Combat, the wounded. From jungle battlefields and villages they come, mercy helicopters flying them to the portals of life. And the Army nurses are there, meeting the test in this hour of trial, adding a new chapter to the proud history of the Corps. When life and death are only a heartbeat apart, the men and women of the Army surgical teams are at their magnificent best. Thanks to the mobility of today's military medical facilities, the U.S. Army surgical, field, and evacuation hospitals are only minutes away from forward battle areas. Those who wear the mask and gown are warriors too, fighting for the survival of every wounded soldier entrusted to their care. In the recovery stage, the helpless are comforted by the knowledge that they are in the hands of one of the finest medical teams on earth. At a small farming village in the coastal lowlands of South Vietnam, Army nurses work with a medical civil assistance team to fight disease among the people of this war-torn land. The war waifs of Vietnam seem as a magnet to the American Army nurses. As an expression of their deep compassion, military nurses spend many hours and days of their own free time helping the overcrowded war orphanages in South Vietnam. The joy of these small children at seeing an Army nurse is only one of the rewards. Whether in a combat zone or back home in America, romance cannot be denied. Many of the Army's nurses meet and marry the man they have waited for while serving on the military medical team. The U.S. Army Nurse Corps makes every effort to station married nurses where they can be together with their husbands. Even if the husband is a member of some other branch of the U.S. Armed Forces, these concurrent duty assignments can often be arranged. The Corps of United States Army Nurses was founded in 1901. Throughout the years of its existence, the Army Nurse Corps has matured militarily and professionally. As the oldest women's corps in the U.S. military service, the uniforms worn by Army nurses are appropriate for the area to which they are assigned. Today's Army nurses are pace setters in the nursing world because of their untiring efforts to find better ways to serve the injured and infirm. New skills developed by the Army open broad horizons within the profession for these inquiring and dedicated men and women. In all of the many fields of nursing care, the members of the U.S. Army Nurse Corps excel. Their opportunities to serve in clinical specialties are unlimited. Like all professions, nursing follows the triad of service, education, and research. At the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research, the Department of Nursing carries out studies to base clinical nursing practice upon known scientific principles. Today's research is tomorrow's practice. The mission of the Army's worldwide medical team is to conserve the nation's fighting strength. Through their proud profession, the Army nurses have always fulfilled that mission and more. In the performance of their duties, these men and women are the givers of hope, the symbol of life. Simply, they are the United States Army Nurse Corps.